class, and welcome to week 5 of ECS 116. Also, we are going to be starting module 3, working with diversity issues. So the purpose of this video will be to review the module 3 objectives along with what you'll need to be doing for week 5. So you can see right here that we have module 2 closed. If you would like to close it yourself, so you don't have to do all the scrolling, all you have to do is click on the little upside down triangle. So for module 3, working with diversity issues, we have our objectives, the instructions for week 5, readings. I have a couple of support videos in here, also spending some time on cross-cultural communication strategies, along with your discussion board assignment and also the small diversity group, which actually isn't going to be due till a little bit later. So let's take a look at the 3 objectives. So when you complete this module, the first thing that I'm going to want you to be able to do is identify important aspects of including parents in culturally respective ways. Also identifying and including home cultures in early childhood programs. Identifying your own home cultural values concerning parenting and parent responsibilities, which is a really big milestone. We have to first interpret, reflect, and analyze how we were parented before we can move on with working with other people's children. We wanted you to be able to describe the importance of community connection to increase diversity awareness and inclusiveness when we tie things to our community. Also, you want to identify ways to connect with the community for inclusion of community diversity within your program. So those are the objectives for the entire module, which is going to run for 2 weeks. So the instructions for week 5, know that this module 3 will be open 9/18 through 10/1. Over week 5, I need you to complete all these items by the 24th. So one is read the introduction in chapter 3 in your DECE book to working with diversity issues. Watch the video, Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Culture, followed by the cross-cultural communication strategies that we're going to use throughout the course. I have another video for you called cross-cultural communication, and then you're going to take all those things into consideration when you post in the working with diversity issues conflict resolution. So you will post your post by Thursday, the 21st of September by midnight. Remember to log back in and respond to 2 to 3 classmates by Saturday, the 24th. So I want to also make sure that you're checking the grade book for any feedback from the last 2 discussion boards, because I'm giving you hints and other information on how to increase your points. Now, of course, if you get a 10, they're really, you're on track. There isn't anything extra that you would need to be doing. Just keeping up the same pattern. So we're going to go ahead and look at the next information. So here's our reading. Chapter 3 is for this week. Chapter 2 is going to be for next week. And actually, I'll change that to 2016 since we have a new version. Here's a TED Talk on everything you want to know about culture, followed by another video on cross-cultural communication. And then we have our communication strategies that we'll be using throughout the rest of the course. So just realize that information that's discussed in this class is confidential. Sometimes people bring up personal information, or they might relay a specific experience that they've had in the community, and we really just want to kind of keep that within our class. Acknowledge that the classmates have different stages of learning. So some of you have been on the journey of diversity for a lot longer than others. Some of you may have done a lot more introspection of yourselves. So, some people, this is the first experience they've had at exploring diversity issues and cross-cultural communication. So just keep that in mind. Also, really important, number 3, be flexible. So classmates may not be ready to discuss some of the current issues at hand. They might prefer to be more of a bystander and participate, based on the information in the textbook. So just be ready for that. Also anticipate that you will have differences. So everyone has a different perspective than you, and we all have something valuable to contribute to the discussion. Number 5, I have listen in air quotes. So I know that we can't necessarily listen, although you're listening to me right now, but we don't really have an audio component to our class. So it's really important for you to read other people's posts and be very sensitive to what they've said, and also read it with sincerity. And also know that it's hard to get that personal factor when we're taking an online class, because you really can't take into consideration body language and other aspects, facets. We're really just reading what people are writing, and sometimes their perspective could be skewed. So if you don't understand something, it's totally appropriate for you, with sincerity and authenticity, to request for clarification. Also, number 6, sometimes we need to ask permission before we ask questions of others. So you might want to, in your discussion board post, say, I do have a follow-up question. I'd like to ask permission to ask this. And that way the other person has an opportunity to say no. They might not be ready. And if you keep the posts and responses to supporting it with information from the textbook, I think a lot of times that provides an avenue for folks that may not be necessarily ready or at the same level as other folks in terms of their journey in multicultural education and in diversity itself. So we're going to keep those cross-cultural communication strategies in line and practice them through the remainder of the course. So here's our discussion board. It will be available on September 17th at 12 a.m. And you will have more information open up for the small diversity group. Know that that is locked till the 24th. So if you have any questions about your activities for this week in Module 3, Week 5, please don't hesitate to contact me. I look forward to hearing from you. You can reach me at tropke@hancockcollege.edu.